All right. So 10-2 is, nope, sorry, 10-3. 10-3 is triangles. Okay. This is a review, so I am not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Okay. And if you guys notice, flip over to the back. And for those of you at home, you're just going to have to copy all this down. So pause the video as needed, draw the triangles and label them yourself. For those of you in class, I made just some copies to help. All right, this is just some review on what we call terms of a triangle. We've got the vertex, which is the point where two sides meet. You've got a side, and then you've got an angle. Okay. And if I wanted you to name the side, like say I wanted you to tell me the name of this side here, you would use the X and the Z vertex and you would call it side XZ. So that's pretty easy. Okay. If I wanted you to name the angle, you would like say this angle right here, you would name that XZY. Okay. Always put the vertex or always put the corner in the middle. All right. This is a review as well, but if you don't remember it, star this, make a note that all of the angles added together in a triangle add up to 180. And the printout from the book actually didn't put this, but I want you to put this. It's degrees, 180 degrees. So if you add up X plus Y plus Z, they're always going to add up to 180. Okay. Again, this is a review. So if we have this little triangle here, we know that the total has got to be 180. So if we subtract 89 and we subtract 54, that should give us that third angle because the total has to be 180. We know 89 is one angle. We know that 54 is the other, and that leaves 37. Don't forget the degree symbol for X, right? So X here equals 37 degrees. If you want to do it that way, you can. If you want to add these two up first, they add up to, I think it's 143. Yeah, if you want to add these two up first, they add up to 143, then subtract it from 180. Guess what? You still get 37 degrees. Or you can do it with this little algebra here of X plus Y plus Z. Okay, add these two up, you get 143, subtract it from both sides. Notice you're still subtracting 180 minus 143, and you still get 37 degrees. I don't care which method you want to use, whichever one makes the most sense to you. Okay, but when you know two angles, you can always find the third because they always add up to 180. All right, this again is just a quick review. This is just types of angles. So you've got acute angles less than 90. How do you know it's a right angle if this 90 degrees is not written? Yep, it's that little square box in the corner. So even if it doesn't say 90 degrees, if it has a little square box, you know it is. Obtuse angles are greater than 90, and then straight angles. Okay. And I just want to note this because we're going to need it here in a minute. If this is a straight line and I have a little box here, that means this one is 90 degrees, right? What does it mean this one has to be? It also has to be 90 degrees. So it may not say this little box, but it has to be 90 because this angle, this straight angle right here, this straight angle has to add up to 180. So all angles, even straight ones, add up to 180. Okay. All right. Let's see. Jumping down here to classification of triangles. Now, this part right here, I want you to pay special attention to because on your homework, you're going to be asked to classify a single triangle two different ways. Okay, you're going to have to first classify it by its angles, which has its own names: acute, obtuse, and right. Okay, so if a triangle has, and it's right here, all acute angles, it's called an acute triangle. Pretty straightforward. If it has just one obtuse angle, then it's called obtuse. Okay, one obtuse angle, that's the one that does it right there. And if it has a right angle, which again, it's this square box in the corner, that tells you it's a right angle. It's called a right triangle. That part's pretty easy. Then we go to classifying by sides. Okay, so if we classify by sides, it's got different terminology. Congruent, it's right here. It just means the same, okay, or equal. Don't know what that was. There we go. We'll make it work. Okay, the same, equal, however you want to think about it, congruent. And it's noted in math triangles with these little straight lines right here. So that tells you that two sides are congruent. So if you have no little slash marks, no congruent sides, it's called a scalene. If you have two congruent sides, like that middle one, it's called isosceles. And if you have one with the slash marks on all three sides, it's called an equilateral. And on your homework, you're going to be given a triangle and you're going to be asked to first solve for the missing angle. Then you're going to be asked to classify that same triangle based on angles, then based on sides. So all of them are going to have three answers. Okay. All right. That's some review on terminology. Now let's flip over to what your actual homework will look like. All right. Your homework will look very similar to this, only different numbers. Notice this first section, it wants you to just classify the angle, just the angle, as acute, obtuse, right, or straight. So if you look at MTN, well, first you have to figure out in this big scheme of lines and numbers, what is MTN? Well, you find M, you go to T, and then you go out to N. So you have to find what MTN is, and then what is it? Is that acute, obtuse, right, or straight? It's acute. Okay, it's a cute one. All right, so I'm going to erase that. Now I'm going to go to a different color here, and I'm going to try MP or MTP. Well, I got to find M, go to T, and then go to P. Now, I'm not specifically told that angle, but I do see that M to T to S is a straight angle, and I can see that this right here is right. So what does that mean the other side is? It's also right, correct. So it's just a matter of identifying which triangle they want you to look at and then label it, label that angle. Okay, the last one, I'll do an orange. Let's do NTO. I find the N, I find the T, I find the O. That's that triangle right there, and it is acute because it's just this little guy right here, and it's this 40-degree angle. Okay. All right, the next thing on your homework, this is where you're going to have three answers. So you might want to give yourself a little note here that you are going to have three answers here. Okay. First, it wants you to identify the first set of directions. It says find the X. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find what X equals. Then the next thing it wants you to do is it wants you to classify it by angle. So we're going to classify it by angle. Then it wants you to classify it by side. So you're going to have three separate answers. So the first answer is find the missing angle. Well, we have 180 minus 70 minus 25. So X equals 180 minus 70 minus 25 leaves behind 85 degrees. Remember, it's degrees. Now we need to classify it, the triangle, by angle. So that means we're going to either have acute, obtuse, or right. Which one would this one be? Acute, because you've got a 70, an 85, and a 25. All those are under 90. So it is an acute triangle if we are classifying it by angles. How about if we're classifying it by sides? That's scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Do any of them have slash marks? So none of them are the same, so it is scalene. So on your homework, on this section, you're going to have three answers. You're going to have X, then you're going to have it classified by triangle or by angle, and then you're going to classify it by sides. All right, the last thing on your homework, notice this gets a little bit simple. You don't have to find any missing angles, but you do have to classify it by angle, and you have to classify it by side. So you're going to have two answers on this section. And they kind of hide them in there. So this is the one they want you to look at here. Over here, they want you to look at this one. Here, they want you to look at this one. Okay, notice the slash marks. Notice the slash marks. Here, they want you to look at this little bitty one and notice the slash marks. So if we just look at number 16, is it acute, obtuse, or right? What do you guys think? Acute? And then is it scalene, isosceles, or equilateral? Equilateral. Good. All right. For those of you at home, hit Cami, email me if you have any questions.